Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Am I wrong for refusing to visit my parents after they tried to get me and my ex back together? I'm 26 female, ex is 28 male, we'll call him Tom. Tom and I dated for a couple of years, and my parents absolutely loved him, invited him to everything, and constantly talked about him like we were already married. Then he found out he had a kid from a one-night stand from just before we started dating. I tried to roll with it for a few more months after that, but it was just too much to deal with too soon in the relationship for me, and I broke it off. I think it was for the best, though Tom desperately tried to get me to stay and enlisted my parents to talk me out of leaving. I told them to drop it, or I was going to go no contact for a while because I already had a lot to deal with, so they did. This was 6 months ago, and I have Tom blocked on everything. All the mutual friends know the score and are good at keeping things separate, and I'm dating again. So, I show up to Thanksgiving with my parents like usual, and guess who's sitting in the living room? Tom and his son, now 3 I think. He gets up all happy to see me, and I turn around and walk back out, get in the car, and go to my hotel. My mom calls and asks me where I went and why I left, and I told her she knows damn well why, and asked why Tom was there. She told me that they still consider him part of the family, and they love his son and didn't want them to be alone for the holiday. When I asked why she didn't tell me ahead of time, she kind of stalled, and then admitted that she knows I don't want to see him, but that I obviously still love him, and they thought if I could just see how great everything could be, he and I could reconcile. That kind of infuriated me, not gonna lie. I don't want to be a step-parent, or at least not right now, and not in this particular situation. It sucks, but I've processed it and moved on. I told my mom that what they did was wrong and really out of line, and that I was going home. Hope their Thanksgiving with Tom was all they hoped it would be. Then I turned off my phone for the rest of the day. When I finally turned it back on, I had a slew of texts and video messages, some from Tom using my parents' phones. I deleted them without listening to the whole message, and finally called my mom back last week after I had calmed down. She apologized for springing Tom on me, and I told her that she needs to stop hoping we'll get back together, and that I don't want Tom in my life. She admitted that they wanted to invite him for Christmas as well. Evidently, he now has sole custody of the kid, and my parents have been playing grandparent. I told her that any function Tom is at, I won't be at, and if they ever spring him on me again, that will be the last time we speak for a very long time. My parents are accusing me of being cruel by making them choose, and giving an ultimatum, with a side dish of, that little boy needs a family guilt. I don't care if they want a surrogate grandparent or be friends with Tom, but I won't be involved, and I'm hearing from a lot of people that I'm being a petty idiot. Now for the top comments. Not the idiot. The little boy has a family, Tom is his family. If they want to be part of that family, too, fine. But they can find ways to do it that respect your desire not to see Tom, much less force you into their vision of that family, when the entire reason you broke up was that you didn't want that. OP needs to tell them that with this behavior, Tom's kid will be the only grandchild they will see, because they won't see any of her children like this. Yup. This OP should go no contact, and since they already have a grandchild, don't let them near your children. Whoa, not the idiot. Your parents are choosing an ex over you at every turn. I hope that your chosen family is better than them. I would recommend making a backup plan for Christmas with your close friends. I'd recommend making plans for Christmas, not as a backup, but as my main plans. Let them see what the future holidays will be if they continue to interfere in your personal life and not respecting your boundaries. As much as I'd like to support your hypothesis, I suspect they'll be so over the moon doting on their chosen son and watching their surrogate grandchild enjoying the magic of Christmas that they won't even notice the absence of OP. Next story. Am I the idiot for telling my parents I won't attend their Christmas celebration until they send my husband a separate invitation? Plus mini update. I'll preface this by saying that my husband Luke, male 32, does not get along with my parents. You can't tell who's right or who's wrong, just that there's always this ongoing tension between them, but can be civil enough to sit together at one table. I recently got an invitation for Christmas celebration from my parents. The invitation including me and Luke, but Luke thought this was somewhat rude and disrespectful because he believes he should get his own invitation and not have his name mentioned as an extension to mine. We talked, and he said he wouldn't go unless they sent him a proper invitation. I called Mom and asked if she could do it, and she thought it was ridiculous and said that she and Dad did the same with my sister and her husband. I told her it was fine, but Luke can be sensitive like that, and so a simple invitation in a form of a text directly to him will fix it. She got defensive and said that Luke is being ridiculous. Dad claimed that Luke is trying to pull some power move to humiliate them, but I thought this was a small issue. They still thought it was ridiculous, so I told them I won't attend if they don't send him a separate invitation, because he won't attend if he doesn't get it. This blew up, and my sister started arguing, saying Luke needs to get over himself, and shamed me for trying to force our parents to send him an invitation by saying I won't come if they don't. We haven't talked after that, and we're waiting as of now. Edit. The invitation I received was in a text. Luke is saying that a simple text to him will finish the conflict, but my parents still think it's ridiculous and that they won't invite him since they already have. You're the idiot. Holy crap, that's not how invitations work. Couples always get invited together. He wouldn't be invited if he wasn't your husband. Why didn't you shut that nonsense down immediately? Your husband is a bigger idiot, but you enable him. You can't tell who's right or who's wrong. I kind of feel like I can. It's funny how OP can't tell who's right or who's wrong, but the whole of Reddit can. I'm guessing that Luke has been pulling crap like this for years, and OP is numb to it. Seriously, I don't know Luke, and I don't like him. Based on what OP has written, I imagine that Luke is like my ex-boyfriend. He would just talk at you until you saw things from his perspective. I ended up agreeing with him on the most ridiculous things. I became completely numb to his nonsense. He was manipulative and a bully. It's why I didn't want to make a judgment against OP. She is in the wrong, but if Luke is anything like my ex. Luke is the idiot, and you are too for condoning it. When you're married, you don't get separate invitations. Your mom called and said I hope you guys can come for Christmas, or we're looking forward to seeing you at Christmas. That is the royal you, not just you OP. Question, if a friend issued the same invitation as your mom did, would Luke be kicking up a fuss, or would he just go? This isn't about the invitation. Luke just doesn't want to go. Your choice is to stay with him or go without him, but your parents don't have to issue Lukey Wubby his own special private invitation. And think hard. Is this really the only time he kicks up a fuss, or do you tiptoe around a lot of things? Be honest. I'd say that due to their constant disagreements, Luke has become so sensitive towards my parents, to the point where he'd take anything they do as a slight against him. It's exhausting trying to keep the peace between them and trying to get them to see eye to eye. I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Your husband sounds like the problem, to be honest. Absolutely this. Husband has an insanely fragile ego, and parents just aren't pandering to it. It's clear who the problem is here, and the dad is right. This is a weird power move. Your husband needs to touch some damn grass and get a grip OP. And now for the update. I just got off the phone with my sister. She told me our parents have just disinvited me from the celebration, and Luke was probably already disinvited since the argument occurred. I feel horrible, but I can't argue anymore, just like I can't argue about what everybody else in the comments is saying. I admit it. Luke is the problem. He just caused me to be disinvited from the event, and is blaming me for it. Next story. Am I wrong for telling my dad that my mom wouldn't pay my tuition? I, 20 female, have been raised by my dad, 40 male, pretty much my entire life. He and my mom, 40 female, co-parented until I was 1. But then she stopped coming to see me as often, and that eventually turned into her barely seeing me at all. When I was 4, she married her husband, 43 male, and they ended up moving away and having 3 kids together. I don't really know them that well, since I live in the same state as my dad and I didn't visit my mom much when I was younger. My parents basically had an unofficial agreement when my mom left, that she would pay my college tuition to make up for my dad never asking for child support. I'm at a community college, and I've gotten a few scholarships, so the payments have never been above $600. I have a semester left until I graduate, and I've already registered for the courses, so I texted my mom and told her what the down payment was and when it was due. She responded back saying that since I'm an adult and I have a job, I can afford the payments myself. I asked if she just couldn't afford to send anything right now, which would be fine. I wouldn't be upset about it or anything. But then she said that she shouldn't have to give money to me when I'm grown and no longer her responsibility. I ended up paying for it because I didn't want to deal with the overcharge fees, but I had to pick up an extra shift at work since I still needed to afford other stuff. My dad asked me why I was going in on my off day as I live at home with him, so I told him that I picked up another shift since I used my paycheck for tuition and I wanted to make up at least some money. He asked why I paid my tuition, and I said it was because my mom said she wouldn't. He ended up calling my mom while I was at work and basically telling her that if she didn't adhere to their agreement for as long as I'm in school, then he was going to go for back pay on child support and formally charge her for it. She texted me a few times, angry that I told my dad about it. She said that it's only 1 semester and I'm an adult now, so I should be expected to pay for it myself. I feel like a bit of a jerk now, since I guess I didn't really have to get my dad involved and tell him about it. But also like considering that the most she ever spent on me when I was a kid was the cost of a birthday card plus postage stamp once a year. I think paying for community college is a fair trade. Still, I just wanted to know if I was wrong here. Now for the top comments. Info out of curiosity for all Redditors out there. What man meets a woman, finds out that she's a deadbeat who abandoned her child, and thinks to himself, yes, I want her. She's the kind of human being I want to settle down and raise a family with. I'm dying to know, because stories like this are not rare around here. Is it just out of desperation on the guy's part or what? Because I can't imagine regarding someone who treated their own kid like OP's mother has, with anything but disgust. OP, you are not in the wrong, you deserve better. I hope your dad sues her, whether she pays up or not. That money was due to you over the years, it wasn't really his right to relinquish it on your behalf. Those funds could provide a handsome little nest egg, now that you are starting your independent adult life. Her husband apparently also has a daughter that he never sees, so I guess they bonded over that or something. And honestly, for my siblings' sake, I hope that my dad doesn't follow through with back pay. I'm almost done with school, so I guess I'll be okay, but I think it would suck for them if they missed out on things, because their mom was paying back child support. NTA. I hope you can update this in a few months, and let us know that your dad has gotten back every penny of child support she weaseled her way out of. This OP. Dad should go after it all. Yes, both of these. Your mother has ducked all her responsibility for her first child, which is you, and it is shameful the way she is treating you. She had to deal with your father, it saved her lots of money over the years that she could have invested, saved, anything she wanted, so your tuition would be available for you. She agreed to this arrangement, and he and you have every right to hold her to it, or make her pay that back child support. She's a disgusting person. P.S. Her many quotes about you being an adult don't mean anything, but you are absolutely displaying so much more maturity and responsibility than her. I'm sure your father is very proud of the young adult you have become. Last story. Am I wrong for asking for my mom's handwritten recipes back? My mother passed away a few months ago. While we were cleaning out our house, my daughter-in-law took her box of handwritten recipes because she wanted to make a recipe book for Christmas for everyone in the family. I thought that was a nice idea, so had no problem with her taking the recipes. Last Friday, we had a family dinner where she gave everyone the recipe books. It was very nice and everyone loved them. And I thought she would bring the handwritten ones, but she didn't. I texted her on set asking if I can have them back the next time we see each other, to make sure each of her grandkids got some of her handwritten ones, but never got a response. My son came over yesterday with the box of recipes, but told me his wife felt very disrespected. She made recipes book for all of us, and she didn't think I appreciated the effort, and I was being ungrateful asking for the handwritten ones back when she assumed they were given to her to keep, and she is disappointed she will not have them. I never meant to give them to her to keep, just to make the recipe book, which are nice, but most of the recipes in there are ones she never made. Daughter-in-law was only around for the last few years while she was sick, and never really got to experience her cooking. She even left out most of my mother's staple dishes that she made all the time, and all her grandkids remembered. I don't hold that against her, but it's the truth. I told my son I was sorry and do appreciate the books she made for everyone, but he told me they need to take a little break from me. Yeah, no. Daughter-in-law did a kind thing with creating the books for everyone, but it doesn't automatically mean that she gets to keep the handwritten originals. She has the book of all of the recipes that she felt were important, so she's not missing out on anything by you dividing the original copies amongst all of the grandkids. It just feels more like an ego thing rather than a sentimental one. I think so too, and this is what is bugging me. She hardly knew my mother, as she was very sick for the last few years and not herself. They were not close, so how they could be sentimental to her, I don't know. She never even got to eat food my mother prepared. Not wrong. Just as you said, you want the handwritten originals to stay with you, so you can pass them on to grandkids. You can also now make copies of all of your mom's recipes that were family favorites. It feels like one of those weird power grabs that never make sense. She wants to keep something that she has no history with. Why? Right. They are a family heirloom, and not sure who she thinks she is, but she is not entitled to keep them. They are yours, and you have the right to ask for them back. Whether you want to share with the grandkids or keep them for yourself, they are yours to do what you please. Not wrong. Your son's wife is a huge jerk for trying to keep them. No reasonable person would assume they were being given someone else's grandmother's handwritten recipes. Right. Not only did she try to take OP's mother's handwritten recipes, she left key recipes out of the book. She was purposely trying to steal her recipes and hoard them for herself, which is super messed up because OP was willing to share all the recipes with everyone. Then to call OP disrespectful because she wouldn't let her pretend that they belonged to her. DIL and Sun can take all the time they need if this is how they are going to behave.